And that's how quickly we go live when the internet's working. Hello. Welcome to
Cheers,
Monday.
people.
Hello there, Peter. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, everybody, as always. I always like to thank everybody who's been listening, watching, sharing, commenting, doing what you do with our videos. Thank you for the X-Files fans, too, for having our little pet project kind of have a steady stream of listeners. It's nice when we get this nice, like I like when it's a consistent amount. Doesn't matter if it's a big number or a small number, but you get this feeling like these same people are coming back. So it's like we're talking to our friends, you know? It's a cool feeling.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's real
Fan to
cool.
fan.
Yeah, yeah, it's real nice. So I'm really digging that. And don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, though, to the page and hit the little bell. And thank you to all the new subscribers, Pete. We're almost reaching 200 subscribers, which is crazy because when we started, I was stuck at 178 for a while, 180, because I was doing these Brazilian expat things, like Brazil Expat Journal, where I was interviewing expats, and I got a lot of new membership or subscribers off of that. Like I went from like 50 subscribers to like 170. But then I started doing the movie stuff again, and that's a little slower to get subscribers, but slowly but surely, man, we're getting up to 200, and 200 is a milestone. I think I get a little certificate. I'll tag you in a post on Facebook when I get my little
All
YouTube
right.
certificate saying 200 subscribers.
That's
So
like
that's
your
that's
AA
real cool.
sobriety chip.
I know it's weird, but they give me little certificates all the time from the I think it's called the YouTube Academy. So I'm like, okay,
Oh,
whatever.
nice. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're growing slowly but surely. But we're having fun, which is what matters most. So guys, today we're gonna talk a bunch of movies that we've been watching. Well, actually not as much movies for me. I watched two series. And I think Pete is Bom Dia Veronica is another series, right?
Dia Veronica is indeed a series. Yes.
Yes. And so we're only got one movie we're gonna review, which is Meet the Feebles. So we're actually doing some advertising for Netflix tonight. It's all Netflix here. So we almost went all the way Netflix. So yes, so I'll be talking about
We
history
have
of
to,
swear
though. Like,
words.
Netflix owns like half the advertising space in Sao Paulo. So, I
I
mean,
know.
how could we be watching anything else?
I know. Netflix is king here in Brazil more than even
Although
Disney
I don't know
Plus.
if I don't know if you've been through the Paulista Consolação tunnel lately, but it looks like Disney has actually bought them out there. Disney seems to own that space now.
Really nice.
Yeah,
Well, I know Disney is making some inroads here. They're doing a little bit better, making inroads. I see a lot of signs for the Mandalorian and stuff like that. Even advertisements like on Instagram and stuff, you see a lot of Mandalorian. So Disney, there it's in the public conscious that Disney exists. As far as everything else, I know a few friends that have Amazon, so I
oh,
think you can
really?
get Amazon in Brazil. Yeah, but very few. I had a friend that was watching a show on Amazon, but I forgot what it was now. But Hulu doesn't work in Brazil, or at least it didn't last time I checked. But I know that got bought by Disney now, right? So now I
Yeah,
guess people will be able to watch some of those shows. Because I remember when The Handmaid's Tale was out, and I would tell a lot of people about this show, and they just couldn't watch it, you know. So they would either have to VPN it or find some other means to watch it, which I
right.
was happy to
Yeah,
oblige them with other means. But Hulu just didn't play in Brazil, and CBS All Access, you know, Star Trek Discovery. It's popular here, Star Trek Discovery, but it's on Netflix. CBS All Access, which is now the Paramount Network, whatever. Another weird thing, it's like all the shows play only in America. Outside America, it's all sold to Netflix. So, but then, oh, it's so bizarre because then Picard, I think, was on Amazon Prime, but Discovery is still on Netflix, so I don't know how it all works. I don't know how they are able to sell to different companies and have two shows from the same franchise on two different companies. But
Yeah.
short end of it all, short version is that Brazil is like Netflix. That's it. That's the one that
Yeah.
works and everybody knows. So a lot of the Netflix shows here do a lot of big business. And speaking of short, I saw that you watched The Big Short, and I got very jealous because you credited Justin, but we actually talked about it
Oh,
even
okay. Yeah.
before.
You did. You
I'm a
did. But
jealous from
I confused it with another movie. I don't know if you saw this other movie about the housing crisis. I know Kevin
Moneyball.
Costner.
No, Moneyball is
No,
what we were talking about. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
but Kevin
what the hell?
Costner was in it. Chris Cooper was in it. Uh,
Yeah.
it
God,
was
I
definitely
forgot the name.
inferior to The Big Short. Like this movie
Yeah.
basically like about the consequences, whereas this movie was it was not only about the cause, but it was about people who saw it coming, and then when it didn't come as fast as they thought it was, they realized that the system itself was fraudulent. So yeah, that was good. But yes, I admit I dissed you. I'm sorry. You absolutely contributed to this. But the thing is, when you said it, I forgot the name immediately. Whereas Justin actually posted it on the internet, where I could go back and refer to the title and say, okay. And you did say this is the movie I was telling you about. So both of you equally worthy of recommending that movie. And
It was
yes,
weird because it was like a very a bit of synergy there because we talked about it on the one night and then he posted it on Talking Films like the next day. I was like, oh, that's
yeah, well,
weird.
because it's relevant. It's relevant.
Yes.
Not a
Was
crazy
it,
ass shit going on in the stock market these days.
was it Inside Job, the other movie? I don't know. I know that there was two that came out almost at the same time. I'm looking here on Vox. They have 5 movies that explain the housing crisis. They have The Queen of Versailles.
Just cross reference it with Kevin Costner. That's like the main thing I remember.
Let me see here. Financial. You guys get to hear my loud typing. Financial crisis movie. Kevin Costner. I try to do it very lightly, but it's difficult too. Is it called The Company Men?
That sounds like it. Yes, yes,
Ben
yeah.
Affleck, Chris Cooper, Kevin Costner,
Yes,
Tommy Lee
that's it.
Jones.
That's it. Yeah, Chris Cooper. Yeah.
Hmm. I never even heard of this one.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit heavy-handed. I like this one because it was a bit more reverent. It was like, these guys saw everything coming and they made all the right bets. And they do have the Brad Pitt character in there who is kind of telling them like, I'm going with you guys on this because you're right. But from a certain perspective, it's also wrong because you're rooting for people to fail, which is exactly what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, it was good because it showed how it's not the system that's wrong, it's the people involved in the system. Like the system actually works. It's just that the people at the very top of the system totally fucking cheated.
Yeah, so then you can argue it doesn't really work because it gives them that room to cheat. Um, no, it was a great movie though. I loved it, and it helped me understand some of it because I was kind of lost at the time. Like, what the hell? Because actually, like I moved to Brazil right around that time when like America was going to hell. So I wasn't really following it that much. Like I was following it enough to understand that when I came to Brazil, I knew Brazil would be fucked because
Yeah,
when I was
yeah, it's a
studying, because I
ripple effect.
yes, because when I got here, I was like, oh my god, this is exactly what we were doing in America. You guys are getting all like easy credit. During the
Yeah,
presidency at the time, they were giving like everybody like free credit. Pretty much everybody was buying cars and microwaves and fridges and paying in
yeah,
100 installments. And I was like, wait, this is like, as Yogi Berra famously said, deja vu all over again. I
yeah.
said, I just got away from a place that just got
Yeah, it's
fucked
because
up.
As much as they hate America, all Brazilians want to be Americans, you know. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, they copy it far too successfully to the
exactly.
gun craze, the religious fundamentalism, credit. Like they eat that shit up.
Yep. So in a way, this is, I mean, we're gonna get to quick picks in a second, but in a way, this is our quick pick. If you haven't seen The Big Short, definitely watch it because it's done in a style that is malleable for us dumb folks. And the movie is self-aware, which is nice. And it sometimes
Yeah,
does
yeah.
that. You know, it says, here, let me get a hooker to explain this to you or something. Like there's some scene like that in
Doing a
Vegas where
bubble
they're like,
bath. Yeah,
let me get like a prostitute to explain exactly what we're talking about. And she just breaks it down like, oh, yeah, okay, now I get it. Because the language will go over your head after a while. Um,
yeah.
but definitely a cool movie. Definitely a very, very cool movie. Um, but yeah, so that we're doing today though, history of swear words, where Pete's gonna jump in a lot because I've only seen half of it. And then Bon Dia Veronica, what is that? So,
Bum D Veronica is actually an adaptation of what is apparently a pretty popular crime novel here. It is set in Sao Paulo and it has some beautiful shots of Sao Paulo, but it's definitely one of those chicks in power, Silence of the Lammy type stories. I think you'd dig it a lot, actually. It was pretty addictive. The first season is only 8 episodes, but it has been picked up for another season that is due to drop this year on Netflix. So definitely worth watching for folks who like shit like Silence of the Lambs, The Fall, even the X Files. Man, if you like hardcore crime shit, this is definitely the show for you.
oh, cool. So you almost gave the review right there. And then The Surgeon's Cut is just a documentary about surgeons. I'll talk about that when we get there. It's pretty nice though. And then Meet the Feebles looks like the Muppets on crack.
And that is exactly what it is, but directed by Mr. Oscar winner Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame.
Oh yeah, I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. So yeah, let's get to it. Pete, start with the quick picks because I'm just gonna share the link in a few more places while you talk.
All right. All right. So my quick pick is a movie called Mayhem, which I believe was released in 2017. It stars our boy Stephen Yoon from Walking Dead, is what he's most known for. But he's gone on to do some great stuff. So thanks to Negan for bashing his head in because he's been freed up to be in a lot of awesome movies. And it's about a pandemic, actually. But this pandemic doesn't actually kill people; it causes people to kill other people.
Oh,
Basically, it frees up their id and loosens their inhibitions. People get more open, they get more violent, they get more promiscuous. It causes people to have sex in public and shit. And the movie is set around an outbreak that takes place in a law firm at the same time as our boy Stephen Yoon has just lost his job through totally unfair reasons. So the premise of the movie is he's using this outbreak as a chance to get up and see the board of directors and plead his case. But to get up to the board of directors, he needs like an increasing series of code keys and passwords, and it's kind of making a commentary about like how hierarchy isn't just a concept in your brain, it's actually like a physical thing. Like there's a reason why the bosses are physically above you, and this is why you can't reach them. And that's a very nice social commentary and everything. But the funny thing about it was just literally the title, Mayhem. It was Mayhem because they actually get a gas cure pumped through the air vents. So they basically have 8 hours to ride out this outbreak. But in the meantime, everyone's going batshit crazy. It's violent. There's a lot of sexual content as well, but it's funny and it's a good social satire.
Well, I'll tell you, um, our honorary podcast member Craig didn't say exactly the same thing that you said. He's like, "Thank God Negan bashed his head in." Spoilers,
Yeah,
because he's doing some really good movies. Because I didn't even know. Like, I was like, "What happened to this kid after he left?" And the first movie I saw him in was that one we reviewed a couple weeks ago, Minari, which I thought was fabulous. I was like, "Oh my God, he carries that movie so well." Because it's really a very small story, just about a family and just dealing with moving to a new place. Nothing like extraordinary happens, but human drama, I guess they call those. But
yeah,
he
and
just carried it.
he's in a really good Korean movie called Burn, which if
Yeah,
you
that's what I.
haven't, yeah, yeah, I mean he's just chilling in that. He's the bad guy, but he's like, oh, he gives you bad vibes, man.
Cool. So hopefully he blows up even more. Because he's still a young actor. Was in his 30s?
And he's got the multilingual thing going for him too. Like he's fluent in Korean, so Korean
Yes, man.
cinema is blowing up. So he can do American movies, he can do Korean movies.
Well, I'll tell you. Uh, exactly what you said. Korean movies. Well, they've always been great, but people. I guess Train to Busan was the first one, at least from recent memory that I can remember. Really was like, wow, you know. But um, but what's it said? Parasite winning the Oscar really put Korea over the
Yeah,
map. What? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was out of China, right? It wasn't out of Korea.
yeah, that was mainland China.
Yeah, that was gorgeous. Oh, I gotta watch that movie again. Fuck it. Last time I saw it was in the theater, so it's been a long time. We got a viewer, by the way, so say hi if you're there. We're going through some quick picks. I did post this link in the Friday Nightmares podcast, which, by the way, I listened to the last one, and Heather and Scott are cute. They're adorable. Although
Yeah,
Scott doesn't.
and they did Pets this week, which
They
is
did pets. I know. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. I love it. Part one. And Scott doesn't know where the fuck he lives. He's like totally lost. But I mentioned that because we are going to give a little bit of love, as much love as we can, because we like Scott, to PG's Psycho Gorman, which got a lot of hype. Like a lot of people in a bunch of different groups are like,
yeah.
oh my God, you have to see this movie. Best
I
movie of the year.
know.
That's
I
this. And I was
bought
like,
it. I bought
I
it.
yeah, I bought into it too, and I said, let me watch this
Yeah.
because supposedly it's a throwback to 80s
Trauma.
horror, kids kind of Goonies ish movies, Stand by Me, whatever. And I was like, all right, I can deal with that. I can ride with it. I dig Stranger Things. I know Pete's not a fan, but I dug at least the first season. I thought was pretty fucking genius. But sorry, Scott and everybody else that we love so much, but I didn't hate it,
Yeah,
but
it was a 5 out of 10 for me.
yeah, I give it. Well, you do out of tens, I do out of five, so I go 3 out of 5 for me. Like it wasn't bad. I saw what they were trying to do. I just don't think they executed it well. Trying to be a parody of those movies, but
But
where
it
they
was those movies.
yes, exactly. And it wasn't one of
Yeah.
even the good ones, Like I know again,
Yeah.
you're not like a fan of Goonies, but I happen to like Goonies. But it wasn't even Goonies. It wasn't. It was like a parody of like Mac and Me.
Yeah. I did like the girl though. I thought she was just nasty enough. Like she was the mean older sister. And I've always been the older sibling, so I don't know what it's like to have a mean older sister. But I had friends who did. And yeah, they're fucking bitches. So of course, if you got control of a monster from outer space, the first thing you would have them do is torture your little brother.
Yes. No, she was cute. The little brother was cute. They. I mean, it was too outlandish, like how mean she was, like to a level of like. which I guess it's I guess the director wanted it to be kind of like an absurdist type movie in a way, because none of it made sense as far as like what was
No,
wrong with the dad. The dad looked like he was suffering from PTSD or something. The sister was like ready to kill the brother, like really kill him. And then so the idea is this monster or whatever, this alien, that they're digging this hole and they find this thing in the ground and they release this monster who's supposed to destroy the galaxy. Just that there's this little charm or something that controls him. It's a stone, right? It's a little stone that controls him, and she's got it. So she controls the monster, and she just makes him do like a bunch of stupid stuff and torment
yeah,
people. And oh, it's got a great premise, man. I just felt like where it missed the mark is exactly that. It would reference like some really bad or cheesy plot device, but then it would do the really cheesy and bad plot device. It wasn't like Austin
exactly.
Powers. Like Austin Powers is great. Why? Because he references all the cheese of those 70s, spy movies, whatever. But he would then
Yeah,
subvert
a
it,
lot of
do something,
vagina.
yes, and do something completely different with it. It's tough to do, man,
Yeah,
when you're trying to do a parody of something that isn't that great to actually end up not being that, or to actually end up being bad thing yourself.
yeah. You
So
just basically remake that type of movie.
exactly. So I think that's where it felt, but it was cute. Like I didn't hate it. I got through it. It was the night before one of our podcasts, and I think you and I were both watching at the same time. And I was like, man, I got 30 minutes left. Let me watch the end of this movie.
Yeah,
So I got to
it
the
was
end of it.
before the last X Files.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. And I dug the special effects. I dug some of the gore. That part was nice. It was a very
It
gory
was actually
movie.
really violent. Yeah, it did have a
Yes.
lot of, but it was like cartoony gore. Like it was just like red splatter. But that's okay. I like red splatter.
Yeah,
It
what I
makes you
like about
giggle.
movies, it does. Now, what I think movies like this are cool for is if you got like a little monster in your house, like a little future horror head. It's a cool movie to watch with your kids. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
thing is, it's just I'm not sure if they would get the supposed satire and they would just look at it and see, oh, this looks really cheesy. Like it's really borderline that, you know.
No,
Um,
I think where this would work for kids is that they can see it from the kids' point of view.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what made Stranger Things work. And because it was just these adorable kids. They were fucking funny as hell. They were cute, and you saw it through their point of view, and then it gave you that '80s flashback, which then, but it was done better in the sense that from there, although it's a flashback show, you get the quality feels like 2000 whenever it came out, 2015 or whatever. So it's like a springboard for maybe a kid to get interested in 80s horror and get interested in Stephen King or whatever like that show has, but it's done in a way that still feels modern, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Almost like the first It movie too, the remake. Like it was set in the
Right.
80s, but it feels like a 2010s movie,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
if
It's
I get my little
retrorating.
cousin. Exactly. Like, but if I get my little cousin to sit through the original It, he's just gonna laugh. Like, I try, actually, I tried to get him to watch the Never-Ending Story, and he was like, "This is so cheesy," and he's right. I mean, it's just the effects are dated compared to stuff today, and it's like some stuff is just really cheesy. Um, so I think that's the only thing about this movie is that if a little kid watches it, he might look at the effects and what they're trying to do a callback to, and the kids might not get it. The little ones, they'll be like, "Oh well, I can watch The Nun or whatever, like Annabelle or whatever these new horror movies are." I don't know. I don't know. So, but I always thank everybody that recommends horror because, as Pete knows and a bunch of you guys know, like horror has slowly become a genre that I've been more appreciative of ever since I got into a lot of these groups.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I never hated horror. In fact, my favorite movie, really not my favorite movie, but top 10 for sure, maybe top five is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I watched that when I was like 18, 19. So there are definitely horror movies that I've loved, but I never like dug into it like I do with sci-fi or some other genres, even action movies. So it's cool to be able to explore horror more in a lot of these groups. So any recommendations, I'm down for it. And I didn't hate it. I just thought it was like, it's okay. It was
Yeah, that's
okay.
not how I felt as well.
But anyway, let's get to the main course. And check out Scott and Heather on the Friday Nightmares podcast. They have the Facebook page. And man, they're really nice people. And the thing that I love the most about them, which is the reason why I work with you. I like working with you and Justin and all these folks. Is that hey, sometimes things don't work for you, and it's like okay, move on. You know, it's like motherfuckers don't take it personally. It just is what it is. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna start today because you went first last time, although I just pressed the wrong button, and we're gonna talk about some curse words, which I've already said some. Probably a bunch before we got on. I don't even notice when I'm cursing anymore.
I
So
know, I know. And the funny thing is, before we get into the series, um, there are actually people who are really offended by profanity. Like you say, like the wrong F word or S word at the wrong time, or you call someone a cunt at an inappropriate moment, and they get really offended. And it's
mhm.
kind of funny because sometimes I play back our podcast just to check the sound quality, and I hear myself as like, "Motherfucker, you swear a lot," and I don't notice it. I just like my dad told me a story about an Indian chief who was because my dad's an Indian and he's full of Indian wisdom. And he told me the story of British soldiers talking to this Indian chief who asked him what the bad words, what the swear words were in his language. And he said, "What are swear words?" And he said, "They're words you're not supposed to say." And the wise old chief replies, "Why would you have words if you're not supposed to say them?"
There you go. I like that shit. Yeah, I tend to agree. I, I didn't grow up cursing too much in my house. My mom was pretty vanilla with language. Took me a while to be able to feel comfortable cursing, but once I did, man, once the ball was rolling, it just they fly out, and it's funny because I have to be careful, especially in the Star Trek groups. I'm in a bunch of Star Trek Facebook groups, and some of them are free for alls, and others aren't. So I think I
Yes.
relieve
Yes.
myself from the ones that aren't because I don't know, I can't keep track of them. And even if one time I got muted or something just because I wrote F, asterisk, 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 asterisk,
Holy
asterisk.
shit.
Yeah,
because
and they're
because one thing that really struck me about this show, in the first episode they're talking about the word fuck, and the first thing that occurred to me is what a landmark moment it was for fuck when they used it in Star Trek Discovery, when Tilly drops the F bomb. That's so fucking
yes,
cool. And it was like done in a totally benign and casual situation. But I was sitting there
man.
watching it, was like, holy shit, they dropped the
You don't
F
know.
bomb in Star Trek. It has reached a whole new level.
Yes, but you don't know what crisis that caused within the Trek community. Well, Star Trek Discovery already causes crises within this Trek community. The ones that don't think it's canon. Why does it look so advanced? And it's before Kirk and this and that. third. But then when they dropped the F bomb, then it was like, oh shit! Like a lot of people got upset. Although, oh shit, shit is in Star Trek Generations when the shit when the Enterprise when Troy is driving the ship to the ground, and then Data, sorry, is like, oh shit, because he has his emotion chip in, so he.
Yeah, but I think that was done really for effect. Like that was like you don't expect like next generation characters to say
Of
shit,
course,
but it's
exactly.
in the cinema. It's in the cinema, so now we can do it.
Exactly. No, I remember when I heard it, I was like, because I went to see that in the theaters, and I was like, "What? Data said shit," you know. But that was about the limit, you know. And then
Yeah,
the fuck was pretty good, but it's how people would really talk. I mean, you think in
exactly.
300 years I had a curse. But anyway, just so you guys know, this is a series on Netflix. It's only 6 episodes and they're all 20 minutes long. In fact, I was watching one before we came in. I think I watched one and a half before we came in. So I'm not actually done all of it. I watched 3.5 episodes. But I enjoyed them, the ones that I have seen. And he goes through the history of curse words or
Yeah,
swear words. And what are the words that they go through, Pete? It's fuck,
uh,
shit,
fuck,
bitch,
shit,
to dick.
bitch. Bitch is third, and I was disappointed with 4 and 5 because 4 they did dick, and I
Yeah,
thought
that's
like
what I was watching.
for that body part, I mean, I think cock is like a way nastier word. It just sounds nastier. Um,
Yes,
and it does have this etymology of its origins being connected to a male chicken.
yes,
I think that would have been a lot more interesting, but I think why they did dick is because it does have other meanings. Like it doesn't just mean that body part, it also means someone who's just being a jerk.
yes.
Uh,
And also, I think because cock, like, at least I've never said to somebody, you cock. Like, you can call people a dick. Like, you don't really
yeah,
call people a cock. You know, it's just a kind of a vulgar way to describe a penis, but it's not something you throw out at somebody. Like, I mean, you can call them a cocksucker, a cockface.
yes. I mean, cocksucker is a fucking nasty word, and
That's a
yet
real nice.
somehow Deadwood managed to use it like 500 times in 3 seasons.
Yes. But I think that's why Dick made the cut, not cock. But I
Yes.
didn't get to pussy and damn yet. I didn't get to pussy and damn.
No. Well, yeah. Episode 5 is pussy, which was actually really disappointing because it's barely a swear word. A cunt is the word you got to use. It's the nastiest word in the English language by
Mhm.
far. Like I remember when I first moved to China, people were like bragging, like, "Oh, I know the worst word in the English language. It's fuck." It's like, no, dude, the worst word in the English language is cunt. And they'd be
Now,
like,
do you think that they? I mean, I haven't seen the cunt episode yet, or the
"Well,
pussy one yet.
pussy."
But
Yeah,
do you think it's because it's an American-made series, and in America we really don't use cunt as much as in Britain, for example. They throw it around like all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
So I
but
think
actually,
that
that's an interesting thing about it, though, because in Britain, cunt is not an offensive word to use with men. It's still pretty offensive to women. But
yes,
if you attach the right adjective to it, calling a guy a cunt means like you're friends, like you're a daft cunt. It's like you're crazy, but I love you.
yeah. Wait, what's this guy's name? One second. This is comic that does a lot of shows in Ireland. He has a funny bit. Uh, let's stand up in Ireland. Oh, now that I need to find it, I can't find it. But anyway, he has this funny bit where he's in Dublin, and this guy comes up to him. Reginald D. Hunter, real funny guy. But anyway, there's this. I'll send you the clip later. It's like only 2 minutes. But anyway, he's out there in Ireland with his friend, and they're black, right? And they're this Irish guy comes out of the bar and he looks at him and is like, "Fuck, you're a mean old. What did he say? You're big old fucking cut, something like that." He's like, "You're a mean old big fucking cut," and his friend was like, "Yo, those are fighting words. Like, what? We're ready to beat this guy down." And then he's like, "No, don't worry, I speak Irish." What he's trying to
Yeah,
say is, "You look like a really interesting fellow, and I think I want to be your
yeah,
friend. You're a big old mean looking cunt."
yeah,
I think that's what he said. "You're a big old mean looking cunt." And he's like, "No, he's actually telling me I'm kind of like an interesting looking dude, and you might want to befriend me." Now, yeah, in the U.S., cunt. I mean, definitely, it's like the word that even Howard Stern, who, especially when he went to satellite, he would say everything. Cut was the one where he would be like, "Man, I don't even want to use that word." So I think it's ultra sensitive in the US. But because the show is more US based, I think pussy is like, God damn, like from when I was in first grade on, it's like everything's pussy. You pussy piece of shit. You.
yeah. And one thing this episode really tapped into is how the word got normalized by hip hop, because hip
Mm-hmm.
hop artists are just like pussy this, pussy that.
Yes.
I
Wet
mean,
ass
hey,
pussy.
hey, if the president of the United States can say it, it's okay.
Yes, Grab 'em by the pussy, and then the song came out this year, "Wet Ass Pussy." So, yeah, so it's a word to describe the vagina, and I was kind of like weird about saying it for a while, saying the word pussy. It's a word that I had to grow into. I actually, our friend Renee, who's not on today, but she's actually helped me a little bit with pussy because,
I can imagine.
yeah, in many ways. uh, because it's just a word. It's it's like a word that describes that area, and she's just very proud of that area of her body.
Yeah.
So it's like yes. So it took me a while to be able to say it because we're so taught in the U.S. No, you would never even to describe a woman's vagina, you have to say vagina. Like that's the technical term for it, not a pussy, not anything like
Oh
that.
fuck! Americans are pretty puritanical as a whole. Like,
Extremely,
a lot of them
extreme.
aren't even comfortable with vagina.
I know they call it the VJJ,
Yeah,
the this, the that, and it's like what? Like I don't know if you when Wet Ass Pussy came out, there was a lot of conservative guys, Ben Shapiro being the top one, where he tweeted out saying, "My wife, who's a doctor, says that a pussy that's that wet is like some type of medical problem, and they should get it checked." Oh, it was the worst. And then everybody was just busting on him like, okay, this is the look I have when I see a bunch of conservatives admitting that they never got their women wet, basically.
yeah,
Uh, so I kind of owned it. I was like, okay, cool, but pussy is also used in the US a lot to degrade men, and
yes, yes,
uh,
and this is what I liked about the choice of the words "dick" and "pussy," is that they do have multiple connotations. Like pussy, like if you call a dude a pussy, you're basically calling him a wimp. Like it's a spineless man. So it's not like cunt, where I mean, honestly, actually, if you call a man a cunt, it's actually in some ways worse than calling a woman a cunt, because it's
mhm.
like it's a slur, but it's a slur intended towards somebody completely different. And you're saying like, whatever woman I would call a cunt, you're actually lower than that. Uh,
Mhm.
whereas pussy, it just basically means like you're a weak man.
Well, bitch, they went into that a little bit on the bitch episode too.
Well,
Uh,
oh yeah, yeah. The bitch
yeah,
episode was amazing
it
because
was.
when you call a man a bitch, it's like you're saying I'm raping you in the prison shower, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, well, they call them the prison bitch, right?
Yeah,
And I like that, the gay dude came out of nowhere and they went into like how gay men have even rebranded the word, and it's so true. Like very, gay
yeah.
dudes call
Oh,
everybody
bitch,
bitch.
please.
bitch this, bitch that, everything
Yeah.
is bitch. I thought that they were gonna
I
bring up
think
this.
you've called me a bitch at least 20 times.
I might have. I
And I'm
call
not
ev
offended by it. I
I
consider it a term of endearment.
no, I call a bunch of my women friends because the girl said at first she was like, "Oh, a man could never call a woman a bitch," but then I was like, I don't know about that. But then they broke into the gay thing, and I was like, yes, that's the exception,
Yeah.
because Kimmy, you met Kimmy.
Yeah.
She's my friend from New Jersey. She's the queen bitch. Like she knows it, like that's her name. She's the queen bitch. I have another friend named Cindy who is the bitch, that's her title. So I have a lot of different titles for the different bitches in my life. And they get it, they get where I'm coming from. And so it's a very cool word, bitch. But I thought that they were gonna go when they brought up gay dudes. I thought they were gonna go into Elton John because they had just talked about Meredith. Was it Meredith Brooks's song "I'm a Bitch"? In how she rebranded it in that song, and Elton John has a song "The Bitch Is Back," which
Yeah.
I see as a very gay anthem because he's calling himself a bitch, and what heterosexual man's gonna call himself a bitch? At least and just screaming it over and over and over that the bitch and the bitch and the bitch is back.
Yeah.
So
Elton John is not a heterosexual man, though. So that's
exactly,
probably why he did it.
exactly. That's why I thought they were gonna go into him because they just went into her song, but I guess it's kind of tough to get the rights to Elton John music. So I dug it, guys. And what I like about it is that they have fun with it, but then they give you little tidbits of like history, etymology, even a little bit of psychology, right? Remember there was that experiment with like you can withstand pain longer if you curse, and then they had
Yes.
the people
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
their hands in water. So and there's been a bunch of stories that always float around on Facebook. From science journals saying that people that curse tend to be more honest, more intelligent. Although who knows, man? Because I know a lot of dumb, fucked up people that curse a lot too.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if I would take all of that into like take it with a grain of salt. But I do find that I trust people a little bit more who are open with their language. And but I respect those that aren't. I know a bunch of people that just don't curse, and I just don't curse around them. I have, I'm able
Yeah.
to
You got to
to
respect it.
manage. Yeah,
It's hard sometimes, though, because you don't monitor your own language
I
sometimes.
know. Well, I'll tell you, I have a student who will remain anonymous, but she's also somebody I consider a friend. And we joke and we laugh a lot in class. And sometimes like today it happened, like an F bomb came out at the
Yeah.
last bit of the class because we were just laughing about something. And I was like, oh, sorry. I just catch myself. I'm like, oh, sorry, excuse my French. So it's tough. Like when I'm in a professional setting, it's super easy because you just kind of code
You
switch
go
and
into the zone. Yeah.
you go into the zone and it's done. But when you just start laughing and joking and stuff like that, and then you get looser. So it's nice to curse, y'all. If you're not a big cursor, try it sometimes. Just go into your bedroom if you got to and just release. And even I liked in the first episode, they said about how even when you don't actually say the curse word, but like the little substitutes like fudge or darn it
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Even that works,
I I
because
know. I know. I went to school
it's
with a. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say that when you're cursing, it's like your most raw emotion is coming out, So of course it's gonna
Yeah.
release some good energy. But go ahead.
I went to school with this kid named Bart Simpson, believe it or not. And this is yeah, this was before The Simpsons, and I feel so bad for that guy now, wherever he is, if he hasn't committed suicide yet. But yeah, this guy's name was Bart Simpson, and he could not abide profanity, so he had trained himself to like substitute swear words. And I remember seeing him this one time. He slammed his fingers in his locker and he was like, "Great snapping bananas." And I realized, yeah, I realized to him, this was just like, okay, you need to say something. And this was like what he came up with, which was pretty sad in my opinion. But the thing is, it illustrated like you're still swearing. Great snapping bananas is not a swear word, but that is what he was doing. He was cursing, and he just found a nicer way to do it. So I mean, damn man, we all do it. Oh, speaking of which, the last episode is "Damn," which I found
Yes.
really interesting because it's not really a swear word anymore, but
Hmm.
it charts the history of "Damn" from, like, the Middle Ages, when condemning someone to hell was like the worst thing you could do. And
Mm.
it just kind of reached a point where people became less religious, and this isn't even really a swear word anymore. Like,
Oh no, you can say damn in a kids movie.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was the nice thing about it. I thought it was a nice ending to the series, but I would like to see more because, my goodness, there are a lot of words they could explore there.
Oh, we forgot to mention the most important part of it all is that it's hosted by Nicholas Insane in the main brain cage, and he's absolutely
Yes,
nuts.
yes, yes, and he's perfect for it though. He's like, he's a crazy motherfucker, and like, he has the setting that we see here in the graphic, and
Yes.
it's totally inappropriate for him, but his delivery
I
is
was
perfect.
I was gonna get the gif of him screaming, "Fuck!" Oh, there's some funny parts, like the dude from The Wire who does like a 47-minute
Oh yes,
shit.
yes, Isaiah Whitlock Jr.
Yes,
Shit, the master of shit.
I know that was funny, and just how they have a bunch of, I guess, comedians and doctors. It's like it's a great mix of folks, and they're all giving their versions of what these words mean to them, um, and how they pronounce it. How you can some words like just slip out, and you can. That's what the whole shit thing went in, because it's like shit can even turn into like a two-syllable word depending on how you
Yeah,
say it. And
shit.
we found out that Samuel L. Jackson is not the king of curse words. It is
They say Jonah Hill, but I don't
yeah,
believe
Jonah
it.
Hill, because of one movie though. I mean, The Wolf of Wall Street is the one that just put him up top, which I can believe because it's a Scorsese movie, and Scorsese loves.
Right. Yeah,
He,
I was thinking Joe Pesci, based on Goodfellas and Casino, because that
no, but I
guy
don't think
brought.
he's been in as many movies though.
Right, right.
That's the problem with Joe Pesci, and and even Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he's
Motherfucker.
only he only started maybe with Quentin. Like I don't remember him being famous for cursing before Quentin, before Pulp Fiction, and then after that, it just kind of went off the rails, but in a good way. And yes, and I do love that they gave a lot of credit to blacks and their and colorful language.
Oh, one of my favorite quotes from this series is on the shit episode, where Nicolas Cage says, "We owe African Americans a debt of gratitude for taking a linguistic toilet and turning it into a throne."
I love it. That was one that I just saw. It was that one. And you know what was weird? Very coincidental, in fact, is that I had posted that song, My Pencil Won't Write Anymore by, what's his name?
Bo Carter.
Yeah, the blues singer. And then in the comments, somebody said, "Oh, this is one of my favorite kind of dirty songs, but not as much as Shave 'Em Dry." So then I went and looked up Shave 'Em Dry, which actually was
I
originally recorded by Ma Rainey, but the
Oh
real,
really?
real nasty version, Ma Rainey's version is not as crude, is by Lucio Bogan.
I
And they brought her up.
downloaded I downloaded like 16 songs of hers today and listened to them all. So how timely
Yes,
is that?
It's very timely. So, in honor of the great Lucio Bogan, a little poetry lyric reading here. I got nipples on my titties, big as the end of my thumb. I got something between my legs that'll make a dead man come. Oh,
Yeah.
daddy, baby, won't you shave 'em dry? Now draw it out. Won't you to grind me, baby? Grind me until I cry. Say I fucked all night and all night before, baby, and I feel just like I wanna fuck some more. Oh, great God, daddy. So you're gonna get it? You need it? Grind me, honey, and shave me dry. And when you hear me holler, baby, want you to shave it dry. I got nipples on my
Nice.
titties, big as the end of my thumb. Daddy, you say that's the kind of 'em you want, and you can make 'em come. Oh, daddy, shave 'em dry. She ain't gonna work for it. And I'll give you something, baby. Swear it'll make you cry. I'm gonna turn back my mattress and let you oil my springs. I want you to grind me, daddy, till the bell do ring. Oh, daddy, won't you to shave 'em dry? Oh, great God, daddy, if you can't shave 'em, baby, won't you try? Now, if fucking was a thing that would take me to heaven, I'd be fucking in the studio till the clock strikes 11. I love Oh, daddy, daddy, shave 'em dry.
Nice. Nice.
I would fuck you, baby. Honey, I'd make you cry. Now your nuts hang down like a damn bell sapper, and your dick stands up like a steeple. Your goddamn ass. Wait, this is too intense for even me. Wait, your dick stands up like a steeple. Your goddamn asshole stands open like a church door, and the crabs walk in like people. Oh shit. And sure enough, shave 'em dry. Oh baby, won't you shave 'em dry? A big sow gets fat from eating corn, and a pig gets fat from sucking. Reason you see this whore fat like I am? Great God, I got fat from fucking. Oh, shave 'em dry. I shake it, don't break it. My back is made of whalebone, and my cock is made of brass. And my fucking is made for working men's $2. Great God, round to kiss my ass. Woohoo, daddy, shave 'em dry. And if those aren't the best fucking lyrics ever penned down, then I don't know what is.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know what
That's
the fuck
brilliant.
is.
That's brilliant.
And this is from 1930 something. So what I
No,
thought
it's
was
from the
amazing about
20s. It's from like 1923.
well, the original song was written in 1924, but then it got a few versions of it done, and I think by the time that she did it was 1930 something, but very early 30s, yeah. But the original was the Ma Rainey. Her version is a little bit not that vanilla, but she just says, "Here's one thing I don't understand: why a good-looking woman loves a working man. Hey, daddy, which would shave him dry. Going way to wear you off my mind. You keep me broken, hungry." So it's not really that. I mean, shave him dry. People understood like the connotation of what that meant, but it's not as dirty as this version. Which, yeah, I'm about to get a bunch of her songs too because then they mention her in the documentary or the
The
series, whatever.
movie.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit! I just found out about her yesterday or the day before, and I'm loving it. I'm loving her vibe. So yes, 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 we're all about that
Yeah,
shit.
it's good. It's just like a lot of the recording qualities are not good. Like they're very
This is
scratchy.
true.
But
Although this one,
there's some that are really good.
listen to this one. This one has really good quality. I don't know. They managed to record it real nice. But yeah, I agree with you. Some of it is not the quality is not the best, but it's just funny how we to have this vision of people way back when, like they were so much nicer and more conservative than today. Hell the fuck no.
No.
So um people folks want us to believe that, but hey, they were having orgies way back in Roman Greek times. So if anything, we're more prudish now than
Yeah.
than anything. But let's move ahead. Definitely recommend this one. I'm gonna finish watching it as soon as I get the chance.
Yeah,
And we're gonna
it's
go Bon
fun.
Chia.
It's fun.
And Bon Chia is what? Good morning.
Yes, yes.
Good
Good morning.
morning,
Yes. Good morning,
Veronica.
Veronica. And damn, this actress, she's hot, man. I think her name is Tanya Moeller, I believe.
Yeah, Tanya
Um,
Moore.
but yeah, well, no, I don't think it's Tanya because the I comes after the A, so I think
Oh,
it's like
Taina.
Tanya. Yeah,
Now, when you get
Taina
that A
Moeller.
there, it's Taina Moore. Yeah, it's got like a German last
Yeah.
name. But I'm
Yes,
gonna
yes,
need
it's
it.
a very German sounding last name. But yeah, living in Brazil, I kind of like to see good Brazilian shows because there aren't many of them. Brazilian television is mostly known for novellas and crappy variety shows. And actually, like, they do produce some good shit once in a while. And this was one of them. It's an 8 episode season, it's been renewed for a second season. It's based on a novel, and it definitely has all the Silence of the Lambs vibes. It's a chick living in a man's world and confronting a serial killer. But there are more elements to it than that, and it does come from a uniquely Brazilian perspective. So I don't know how appealing that would be to a lot of other people, but if you like the Gillian Anderson show, The Fall, you would probably like this. It's the same deal. It's like female cop versus serial killer. She
How
is
many episodes are in this show?
8 in the first season, and there is going to be a second season. It's set in Sao Paulo. That was the main thing that attracted me to it because there are a lot of really nice shots of Sao Paulo, and sometimes we don't see the overview, right? The show's got like a lot of helicopter shots of Sao Paulo. It's like when you see helicopter shots of Los Angeles, it's like, oh my god, that city's really fucking big. But I mean, Sao Paulo is even bigger than Los Angeles, so you can imagine how these shots look. And who is Veronica? Veronica is actually not really a cop. She is a secretary in the homicide division of a police precinct. And in the first episode, a woman comes in claiming that she's been roofied and robbed by a guy she met on the internet. And the cops are like, yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. And somehow she gets a hold of one of the cops' guns and blows her brains out right there in the precinct. Poor little Varal gets her brains all over her face, and she takes it kind of personally. So even though she's a secretary, she takes it upon herself to kind of try and solve this case. And the show has a lot of red herrings because we think that her solving this suicide is going to be the main plot point, but it isn't. What happens is when she starts investigating this, she just kind of puts out this SOS to abused women saying, like, look, if you know anyone who's capable of doing this, like, get in touch with your local police. And she's contacted by a woman who is married to, um, I think he's a captain. He's a captain in the military police. So, like, yeah, the most hardcore level of police you get in Brazil. And she's being abused terribly. Like, he's a bastard. And she starts investigating him, and this leads her down a whole other rabbit hole. What their deal is, he takes his wife to bus terminals which, as we know here, are very high traffic areas. And he gets her to hire these country bumpkins fresh off the bus, just arrived in Sao Paulo, looking to make their dreams come true. And she offers them jobs as domestics. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's that easy. I'm so lucky. Thank you. Thank you. And then her husband kidnaps them, abducts them, tortures them, and rapes them.
Oh
And
Lord.
yes, yes. And so the whole suicide story is just basically her entry point to encountering these people. And I found it really
Well, don't tell me
bizarre.
the whole thing, because I want to watch this now.
No, no, no. This you get this in the first couple episodes, so
I
I'm not
know,
going to
but
tell you. But this actually does harken back to a story, a real true crime story in Canada that happened when I think I was a teenager or in my early 20s. And yeah, it was Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. And he was arrested for torturing, raping, and murdering these two young women. And his wife agreed to give evidence against him if she got immunity. So they gave her immunity, and she turned over the videotapes they made, which indicated that she was actually the instigator of this. And one of the victims, just to make it sweeter, was her own sister. So this guy got life in prison, and she got to walk. It was like one of the most fucked up cases in the history of Canadian crime. Not that this is the same. Like, this woman is a victim, and it's kind of like 13 Reasons Why, where they had like the whole suicide thing going. So at the end of every episode, they said, like, hey, if you're thinking about killing yourself, here's the hotline. This show actually has that as well. Like, if you're thinking about, if you have like domestic violence problems, if you think you're being abused, call this number, because it is a serious look at abuse.
yeah, unfortunately, Brazil is one of the countries with the highest rates of, I guess they call it femicide, or just like
Yeah,
violence towards women. And you wouldn't know it sometimes because, most of the expats move to nice areas. But, it's a huge country and there's a whole lot of terrain out there where folks don't know what the hell. It's like the wild, wild west, you
yeah.
know? So, uh, no, it's cool that they have this PSA on there. Hmm. And, Brazil has a history of this, unfortunately, trafficking. And even just weird stuff. I mean, we had like a Sweeney Todd type story here, maybe like 6 years ago up in the Northeast, where a couple was baking little empanadas of women that they were collecting in their homes. So there's a lot of weird shit that happens in Brazil, man. But a lot of stories to be told about that. They even tried to make this real crappy movie based on that. Turistas, I think it was, where it was kind of
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
Hostel, but set in Brazil. It was just a crappy
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah. Of course, it had to be Brazil. I actually, I, I, I think I was living in Brazil when I watched that, and I kind of resented it. It's like, motherfucker, like all of Latin America is like kidnap central. Like, you had to pick Brazil. But I mean, the fact is, yeah, it could happen here.
Well, I know Brazilians got really upset, but Brazilians get upset at everything, so I wouldn't take that as meaning anything. When that movie came out, because they're like, "Oh, it's bad for tourism," but it's something. I don't think it's as bad today as it was maybe in the '80s or so. In fact, and I bring this movie up a bunch of times in this podcast whenever we talk about Brazilian movies, but Central Station, great movie. And the what kind of kicks the story off is that this little boy, he's trying to write a letter to his dad, and there's this lady that works at the central station who is a letter writer, for people that are illiterate, and she doesn't want to help him, go see his dad, but she catches his eye for whatever, or he catches her eye for whatever reason, and he gets captured and he's gonna be not experimented on. They're gonna cut him up and like sell his liver and stuff. And she sees this, because he's an innocent little boy and he just goes off with these two adults. And she's been around. So it's one of the more intense scenes in the movie where, this old lady, she's like in her 50s and she just sneaks up into this motel and sees that they got the boy in there and she knows what's going to go down and she rescues him and then she decides that, okay, I mean, I've gone this far. I guess I need to help this little boy find his father. And man, oh man, Pete, watch this movie if you've never seen it. It's a
I
fucking.
I will check it out. I'm always cool with seeing quality Brazilian shit because
Oh, this is a
it is
fucking.
rare, but when it's good, it's
Yes,
really
it's
good.
rare. I agree with you that it's rare. This one does fall into one of the problems that Brazil does have. It's like, it only seems to operate on two genres most of the time, which is like this kind of out in the outskirts type of, little family drama or like a favela movie. This
Right.
happens to be one of those out in the outskirts, as because then the movie is just the relationship between these two characters, this old lady and this little boy, as they travel the Brazil countryside trying to find a dad. But when it's done right, oh my fucking lord! Like, I don't cry too much at movies, but at the end of this one, you're just like, it's fucking incredible. And Fernanda Montenegro, I think she was nominated for an Oscar for that movie. It got a lot of repercussion when it came out, kind of like City of God did when it came out,
Right.
a while later. Although I'm not a big fan of City of God, but the but yes, gorgeous movie. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna check it out because Brazilians, when they come out with good stuff, man, it's like usually really damn good. Because they just take shit from a different perspective. And
Yeah, and this one does swerve you a bit because like okay, first we get the situation with the suicide which sparks the whole plot to begin with, but then it turns out to be nothing about that. But there's another swerve about three-quarters of the way through, and I'm not going to talk about that too much because it would be a spoiler. But it turns out that Brandau, I remember the name of this character. He's such a bastard. He's the killer. He's being protected from higher up, and there is this larger conspiracy that is endangering her and her family. And I got to give a shout out to my student Gabriella, who recommended this to me, and she sometimes listens to her show. I hope she's not
oh,
now. Yeah, I hope she's not now because we just talked a lot of nasty words. But she said that she really liked the first half more than the second half. And I can understand what she's saying about that because when it's just like Veronica versus Brandau, like cop versus killer, pseudo cop versus killer, it's a lot more compelling than when they bring in this conspiracy stuff later. It kind of diluted it a bit, but
I
it's still
got
a
you.
yeah, it's still a solid show.
Now, I would be curious, Pete, if this, I don't know if there's a possible talking point for you in one of your classes. If there's any regulations for bad words in Brazilian TV? I'm sure there are. Like,
Well,
because I was looking here, the seven dirty words, shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. Those are the words that cannot be said. George Carlin famously has a
yeah,
whole bit on that. But you cannot say these words on television. But aside from caralho, which is like the big one here,
yeah,
I
you get a
hear.
lot of actually in this one you get a lot of Corralios and a lot of Filio de Putas.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess maybe you can't say filho da puta. I'm talking about just like regular, TV. Like, because it seems like language just kind of flows here, which I don't understand, like when I'm saying a curse word and when I'm not, because they all
Maybe
kind of.
maybe they're like the Indians, you know, like what's the point of having a word if you can't say it?
Yes, yes. I don't know. So it'd be interesting if you could manage to get her list of whatever the seven dirty words are, in Portuguese that you can't say on regular TV, not like Netflix. I'm talking about like on Global or something, like
Yeah.
open access shit. All right, cool. You got me interested. Last TV series I saw from here was the Mechanism, which I thought was really good, but I didn't see season two. But I thought season
I
one was
watched
all right.
season two. I'm waiting for season three. I don't know if there's going to be one actually, but
Yeah,
I
it's been
hope
a
there is.
while.
It was
Yeah,
a
it's
good
been a
show.
while. And there's like a sci-fi show from down here that people talk about a lot. What's it called? It's not the 100. Wait. Brazilian sci-fi show. It's called the 3%. Yeah, I know a lot of people
Okay.
that recommend that show. The 3%. I guess it ended 2016 to 2020.
Yeah, there's
2020.
another one. There's another one called The Left Arm or something like that, but I can't find a version of it with English subtitles. So
Oh, you
I
might be able to
probably
find this one because this one has an English IMDb, a post-apocalyptic thriller set in the near-future Brazil, where select few are allowed to join a privileged society after undergoing an intense and competitive process. So that's that. So yeah, a few people have recommended that. They're like, it's actually not bad.
All right.
Cinematically and visually stunning, a political Hunger Game-esque storyline with believable acting and blah blah blah. Anyway, let's move on, man, because
Yeah,
we're getting late. I'm not gonna talk too much about this except to say that it's fucking great.
that
Um,
Robert De Niro.
no, it's not Robert De Niro.
Okay, it looks like him.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it does look a little bit like him. But speaking of students, as you know, both Pete and I are English teachers down here. You can tell by our beautiful English, our saucy English. But student recommended this last week. He said, because I asked him, I hadn't seen him in a while, anything new you're watching? He said, oh, I watched this show called The Surgeon's Cut. And it's a documentary series on Netflix, 4 episodes long, about surgeons, but four really incredible surgeons, like these guys that just changed the game and are just the top, 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 top of their profession. And the way you described it, it seemed interesting. It seems like something I'd like to see. Not because I'm that into medical stuff. It actually kind of disgusts me, like when you have these
Yeah,
kind of surgeon shows.
yeah, too.
But the way that it's set up, one, there's not a lot of blood and gore in it. Which is nice. It helped me a little bit. At least not the 2 episodes I saw. I haven't seen the last two yet. Um, but it it takes like a personal look at the doctors. Like it intercuts like a case that they're having at the moment, with their life, like where they grew up and how it is that they decided to become who they are and what it means to them. And it's really powerful, like because you don't, when you have these people that seem to be supernatural in a way, it's like, wow, how the fuck do these people end up getting to that high pinnacle? There's a tendency for us to either iconize them or not be able to humanize them and realize,
Right.
well, some of them just grew up dirt poor, and just made it to the top just by a lot of hard work. And that part of the story is cool, but then actually getting deep into the heart of these doctors. And so far, like I said, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes. I saw the episode with Professor Kypros Nicolaides. He's a Greek doctor who, um, he created pretty much this idea of, baby surgery. He performs surgeries on babies. It's like,
Jesus.
natal surgery.
Damn.
And man, his great innovation is that there's this thing that I didn't even know existed, and I should have. Goddamn, I hate when I don't have my notes open. Um, but there's this thing called, oh shit. Wait, my notes are right here beside me. um, all I wrote on my notes is doctor is hardcore. But anyway, there's this thing, I can't remember the technical term for it, but when you have twins, especially, they're like connected inside.
Conjoined syndrome.
No, not conjoined twins. It's like they're separate, but they're both feeding off the mom using sometimes the same blood vessels and stuff like that. And what will happen is if one of the twins is weak, the other
They
one
they
may kill
they
the other.
absorb them. They absorb them.
Yes, like the stronger
Yeah,
twin can kill the other one, but if the weak one dies, it can be absorbed into the bigger one, and that'll die. That one will die too. So this is a big issue, a big problem. There was like 90% chance that these babies would die before this guy comes along, and he creates this type of surgical technique where he goes into the woman's uterus and laser cuts and separates the twins, like through like the little blood vessels. He's able to separate them so that now each baby is getting their own supply of blood from the mom. Fucking intense. Uh, but his personality is what gets you into it. How he's very hardcore, and he just tells these moms before they go in, it's like you have to realize there's a great possibility that one of these babies is going to die. I can save one. There's a 10% chance that one isn't going to survive. And when I saw that, I was like, man, he doesn't have very good bedside manner. But then
yeah,
he explains that that's just how he learned that from his father, and he's like, I prefer to have this experience with the mom, like, because the moms need to be awake while he's doing uh, this surgery. So he lets them hold on to his arm while he's making the first, puncture into the stomach, and it's going in through the tubes, and it doesn't get too graphic, thank God, because I'm not really into that stuff. But you definitely see parts of the surgery and just the trials of this doctor. I think in his episode, there's like three different moms, and not all of them are happy endings.
yeah,
And it's just real drama, but at the same time, an incredible human being. This guy is just incredible in how he, the way he sees medicine. I am, well, you probably all know already that I'm kind of a nerdy dude. Like, I'm not a fucking genius, but I like to keep myself at least somewhat science literate. And people that I appreciate the most in science are those that can communicate this thing that can be so foreign in a language that we can understand, and we can fall in love with it too, even if we don't understand all of it. Think Carl Sagan, think Neil deGrasse Tyson. I listen to his podcast
yeah. Neil
every week.
deGrasse Tyson dumbs it down so much for us morons that you can't help but love the guy.
Exactly. And I mean, it dumbs down in air quotes because you still don't understand what the fuck he's talking about sometimes. But at least you get a sense of it. You're like, okay, I get a sense. But you get a sense of the wonder of it all. And
Yeah,
medicine just never seemed to be like something that, well, at least for me, it's never been something that gave me wonder. I think it's amazing. Like, modern medicine is incredible. Even though I joke about it, I used to work with this lady on the radio, and she used to have this joke about there's a reason why they call it practicing medicine because they don't have it all right yet.
yeah,
But the so medicine never gave me that wonder. I mean, I watched the first season of Grey's Anatomy. That's about as much as I'm into like medicine shit. But I fell in love with the wonderment of the science of medicine watching this episode, which isn't even as good as the second one, which I watched today, and it was starring or following around a brain surgeon and one of his patients, which I think is what you see here in the slide. This guy is about to have brain surgery. And again, he needs to be awake while they're doing this brain surgery because he's got a tumor growing in his brain, which was removed
yeah,
like many, 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 many years before, but it grew back. And oh, it's edgy. You see type stuff on that level of what do you call it? Not knowing if the guy's going to survive or not. But This guy is incredible. This Dr. Alfredo Quinones Hinojosa, Mexican immigrant, Mexican illegal immigrant, in fact. And that's one of the funniest parts of
Nice,
the, yes,
nice.
one of the funniest parts of the story because he's telling about how he used to live in this little dirt town. I think it's called Mexicana or something. It's like right on the edge of the U.S. Mexico border, and there was a physical fence even back in that time. And he visits his hometown, during the, present day. He goes back and visits and shows us where he used to live. The house is not even there anymore. And then he shows us the fence. And he's like, that's the fence that I jumped. Like I took a head start. I used to do training exercises, boxing, to get a head start running and just jump and like not get cut by the barbed wire. First time he got caught, police, the border police sent him back. So then he spent a bunch of time studying the fence, figuring out like the time that it took for the Jeep to go across, this, that, and the third. And he did it again and he jumped. He was like 16, 17 years old, worked as a migrant farmer. And then he mentioned to one of his cousins, he said, you know what? I think I want to learn English. Because he's like, so many people quit school, so many in our situation quit school to just work, to feed their family. And his cousin's like, you're never gonna amount to anything. This is all you're gonna be, man. Like, you made it. You made it across the border. Like, be thankful. You're a fucking migrant farmer picking cotton, which is basically modern day slavery. But
Yeah.
he's like, the minute his cousin said that, he was like, no, something sparked in my mind. And I said, I'm not going to be this for the rest of my life. He left. He got himself a job working somewhere else. He learned some English, got himself a job working as like working on some trucks, all menial jobs. But this is the incredible part. In 7 years, I mean, this guy's just a fucking genius. In 7 years, from the time he had this conversation, he was at Harvard Medical School.
Holy shit.
And now he's like the lead doctor on brain surgery at the Mayo Clinic. So
So the
it's like,
capitalist
what?
dream works.
So it's like, what the hell? No, but he's got such an attitude, though. He's got such a positive view of everything. Um, and he just fought against the grain. He told this interesting story about how he was at when he was at, I think, USC. Oh, I hope I didn't say the wrong university, and then I'm bad mouthing them. But anyway, he was at a university in California, a big one, maybe Ivy League. And one of his TAs asked him, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Mexico." And she said to him, "Oh, you can't be from Mexico. You're too smart." And he's
Oh
like,
my god.
"I know." So then he was like, when she said that, it just struck this fire inside of him. One, for a long time, he got afraid of that question, where are you from? He would like kind of deny his heritage. But then he realized, my heritage is part of who I am. That's the cool part about this series. It's not just about this surgical procedure, which it is too, and it's tense as hell because you got the guy there and they're doing like this, I don't know how many hours long surgery on this guy's brain, and his skull is open. Again, nice that it's not super graphic. I mean, you see that he's definitely going in the brain. Like, there's a few shots in there, but it could look like fucking ground beef. It's not like super graphic. Um, but the human story behind these doctors, like, I can't wait to see more. It's very long. It's like an actual hour-long show. It's not like 40 minutes. So it takes a little while to get through. But I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. Can't wait to see the next two episodes, which are going to be about. Let me see here. The next two episodes is Dr. Nancy Asher and wait, let me see. Dr. Nancy Asher, there she is. She, I believe, is a. Not I believe, I'm just going to look it up on Google. Is an American surgeon and the first woman to perform a liver transplant. Asher specializes in transplant surgery, focusing on end stage kidney disease. And then the episode after that is with Dr. Devi Shetty. And he is Indian cardiac surgeon and an entrepreneur. He's the
Nice.
chairman and founder of the Narayana Health chain of 21 medical centers in India. And he has performed more than 15,000 heart operations. And what's cool about this show, too, is that it's got a nice diversity of doctors, which is really cool because the one guy's
Yeah,
Greek,
yeah, it sounds like
he's
it.
Mexican, you got a woman, you got an Indian dude. Um, so definitely worth it, guys. It's just this little documentary that you would never know existed, or series you would never know existed. You would never think you'd be into, but it's so well narrated. Well, not narrated, but well plotted out, I guess you could say, and put together. And the human aspect of these doctors is interesting. But again, what really draws me in is that they got me to feel their wonder. You know, it's not just a job for them. It's like they're connected. Like this guy, the second episode is better than the first. First one's good, but this second doctor, man, when he's talking about, the mystery of the brain and how the brain actually pulsates at the same rhythm as your heart. I didn't know that, and now it makes sense why whenever I see these images of the brain and the X-rays, it seems like the brain's big and then small, big and then small. I thought that was just some effect of the X-ray or whatever, or like the imaging software, but it's actually the brain, bigger, smaller. Uh, in the same rhythm as your heart. So he's talking about like when I open somebody's skull and I'm in their brain, I'm listening to the rhythm of the heart through the monitors, and I'm seeing the brain move, and my hands are in there, my feet are controlling these mechanisms. So I'm dancing. He's talking about dancing while doing this
Yeah,
surgery. And he's like, I'm dancing, I'm connected to this person. So it's like this care that he has for what he does that is
yeah,
incredible. And it's especially incredible when we take into account all the shitty doctors out there,
yes,
that's just a
yes.
paycheck. So incredible, loved it. And I recommend it for anybody that just wants to see something totally different that you wouldn't think you would dig, but you just get wrapped up in the drama of it all. So to end, speaking of left field, blah,
Yeah. Oh, you found that GIF. Nice. Yes, because vomiting is a huge part of this movie.
meet the what is it, the Furbies,
The Feebles.
the
Meet the
Feebles.
Feebles. Yeah, and the funny thing about this is that this was directed by Peter Jackson, who won an Academy Award for directing Return of the King. And I would say it was well deserved. I mean, I think whether you like Lord of the Rings or not, I know. Let's name drop Craig again here. Craig did not. I was ambivalent about Lord of the Rings at best, but man, he showed some serious directing chops in bringing that story to life. So, hats off to Peter Jackson. But before he was doing Lord of the Rings, he was doing vomiting puppets. And I have to say, he did an excellent job of vomiting puppets. Um, so basically, this movie is the story of a variety show that parallels the Muppet Show. It's obviously the Muppet Show. Um, like, let's get things started. Are you ready to get things started? It's basically like that, except that all the puppets doing this show have severe dysfunction in a way that is actually kind of horrifying to watch. I mean, I could see this movie being upsetting for a lot of people. So the story, such as it is the Feebles are a touring variety show. They're looking to get picked up on a network, and we get a backstage view of them just before they're about to make their big pitch show, and we realize they have all kinds of problems. The Miss Piggy character is actually a hippopotamus who we see here on the right in a real spoiler scene, actually. Um, she's fucking the producer, but the producer is fucking a cat in the chorus. The producer is a walrus, by the way. I don't know if that matters, but it does matter that we actually get to see a puppet walrus fucking a cat graphically, really graphically. Uh, so he's basically getting ready to discard our hippo girl here for the younger cat that he's fucking. The stage manager is a rat, and the rat is producing torture porn in the basement of the theater
Oh,
that they do.
nice.
Yes, yes. And the star of his torture porn is a cow, and they call it udder porn. Get it? Udder with two D's.
Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. So they
I'm
have.
sorry. I'm sorry, Pete. I didn't get that joke. It went out one year, or in one year and out the other. It went in
Yeah,
one year and out the other.
yeah, yeah. So the stage manager is producing cow porn in the basement. One of the stars actually, he's the knife thrower. He's a heroin addict, and he's like shooting heroin and vomiting all the time because he has this deer hunter past experience with Vietnam. He's a Vietnam vet, and basically they reenact the Russian roulette scene from Deer Hunter, which we did actually talk about on this show a few months back. Um, yeah, he had that exact same experience, except they replicate it with puppets and animal puppets too, and it's just so absurd, but it was funny. But the end result is you have this character who I believe he's a lizard. Um, he's addicted to heroin, but he's a knife thrower, which causes him to sometimes miss the mark a bit, shall we say. And then we have the vomiting cat here. He is the male star of the show. And oh no, sorry, he's not a cat. He's a rabbit. He looks like a cat here, but
It looks like a
he's
cat.
actually,
Oh, but I see the long ears now in the back. Yeah.
yeah, he's a rabbit. And like all rabbits, he fornicates a lot. And he picks up a really bad venereal disease that is supposedly terminal, which is causing him to vomit all the time. And this whole story is actually told through the point of view of a new cast member who is a porcupine who like idolizes these people. Like to him, they're like Kermit and Miss Piggy, like you're my heroes. I'm so happy to be here. And then he gets backstage and sees all these fucked up puppets doing fucked up puppet things, and he instantly falls in love with the other new cast member who is a poodle. And it's basically told from his point of view. We're supposed to see like this shit is fucked up. It's like Peter Jackson was just saying, like, what if we took the Muppets and just made them like the anti Muppets? And that's basically what this is, man. It is. I watched the whole thing with my jaw open. Like, I'm used to weird shit, man. I watch a lot of fucked up movies. I seek out fucked up movies, which is how I found this. But I was watching this and I was like, man, this is out there, even for me.
Yeah, he was before he got big with the Lord of the Rings. He had here what they're calling on Wikipedia his splatter phase
Yes, yes.
with
He did
bad
Dead
taste with the
Alive,
Feebles
Bad Taste. Yeah.
and Brain Dead. So he's kind of got a weird um, kind of take, which is crazy that he was able to do something as uh,
Mainstream.
mainstream and toned down in a lot of ways as the Lord of the Rings, but there's some elements of that in Lord of the Rings when you get into the orcs and all that stuff. So he gets some weird stuff in there too. There was this Muppet. What was it? There was a Q Street. People like to play Avenue Q. That was the big famous Broadway show that won a Tony actually. This show has been praised for its approach to themes of racism, homosexuality, and internet pornography. But it's kind of like the Sesame Street for adults.
Yeah,
I I've seen
this,
clips of this movie, never enough to like me to want to watch it, but maybe I'll check it out on one of
it
these
has, it
weekends.
has some really good puns. Like our rabbit buddy, our vomiting rabbit buddy here. Um, Actually, he thinks he's dying of a terminal venereal disease, and he calls his doctor, and his doctor is a duck. And his doctor tells him, like, I got the diagnosis wrong, man. You just got a rash. Like,
Mm.
just stay in bed for a week. And then the doctor, who I remind you is a duck, says, I will send you my bill. And I mean,
Mm.
that was such a subtle pun, but I laughed harder at that than I did anything in the movie. It's like, he's a duck. He's gonna send you his bill. That's hilarious.
Oh boy, I'll see. I'll give the final verdict. I'll try to watch it. I'll see what I'm watching this weekend. I have no clue what I'm watching this weekend. I still gotta
Yeah,
sit
my
for
movie
another chat.
watching days are over, man.
I
I'm
know.
working nights like 4 nights a week now, so movies are pretty much going to be a weekend thing for me. And given the choice, if I can go out, which I probably can, I will. So
Well, good thing is there's still new stuff coming out, especially on TV. I know you're watching WandaVision. You're enjoying that, right?
I am, and there's this new horror movie out, Saint Maud.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I saw that. Let's see, because everybody's hyping that too. I hope it's not another PG effect.
yeah,
But yes, a lot of folks are hyping this Saint Maud. I might check that out. So there's new stuff coming out. King Kong's coming out. Oh, Pete, we gotta go see King Kong,
we
man.
gotta go. We can go see it in the cinema, and we
Yes,
should.
King Kong versus Godzilla, and I may rewatch uh, the original because I really like the original. It's campy as fuck, but I love it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
have actually seen it, but I was like 11 at the time, so I don't
no, it's
remember.
great.
All I remember is like King Kong grabbing Godzilla by the tail and whirling him around all over the place.
Well, no, the best part of it is when because King Kong is like he's a lush. He's like drunk all the time on these like big ass wine coolers or something. I don't know what it is. And then they get his ass drunk and they tie these balloons to him and they float him across Japan. It's like it's nutty. It's just an insane. I was actually almost gonna put that in as one of those what I'm watching because I watched like two Godzilla documentaries this weekend and they went like through every single fucking movie and I was like, oh shit, I'm I'm not ashamed to say that I think I've seen at least 60% of these fucking movies. I love Godzilla.
Yeah, they used to be on Saturday afternoon TV a lot. So
Yes,
yeah,
I was doing
I
like a marathon a few years back for a friend's website, but then after like 12 of them in a row, I just burned out and I couldn't finish it
yeah.
because it gets kind of rough for a while. There's some real trippy ones where I don't know what they were spoken. Like the one where he fights this sludge monster and it's all like psychedelic and yeah, it's out there. But anyway, we'll talk more Godzilla when Godzilla versus King Kong comes out. And well, look at us. Actually, we didn't end up too late. Okay, just
No,
like
we're a little past midnight, but not as bad as last
yeah,
week.
no, because usually we do an hour and a half. It's like an hour 40, so that's pretty good. All right, y'all. I gotta actually work because my boss is gonna kill me. I forgot to do something real important, so I gotta go do that. And thank you all again, as always, for watching, listening, or whatever you want to call it. We will be back next week for what we're watching, but we'll be on Thursday talking X Files. We're getting
Yes,
to
the
the end of season
end of
one.
season one, which
Is it
is
the end already?
crazy.
That's fucking crazy. Oh shit! So
Yeah,
yeah, last 6 episodes of season one.
Freudian slip
So
there.
there you go. All right, y'all. Until next time.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers, people. Thanks for listening.
Oh, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, please.